Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo. My name is Bill Park, and I'm honored to serve as your worship associate today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Whether you are from near or far, or have been here for a while, are new, are you here in person or virtually, we are happy to have you here today. Everyone is welcome here. After the service, please join our fellowship in the hall. Off to the right, behind those doors. We meet on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee people, and we wish to honor the ancestral guardians of this land and its waterways. Today, many indigenous people continue to call this land home and act as its stewards. May we remember that the responsibility to share and care for this land extends to all people, so this territory may be a healthy home for generations to come. Today is Super Sunday. There's an announcement in your order of service about helping hands. So when you see the hands on your table during Super Sunday in the parish hall and you require assistance, just raise the helping hand and you'll have assistance with your accessibility needs. Sign up for the monthly newsletter and e-blast. It's a great cure for FOMO. That's what the young people, I think, call fear of missing out. So your cure for FOMO is the monthly newsletter and the e-blast. You'll learn about all kinds of fabulous things going on in the church, as well as please reference the items in your order of service. The grief group is today at noon in the Marge Gardner room. Please see Bonnie Collins for more information. The choir will appear singing 2 carols on WIVB Channel 4 this Wednesday at 3 p.m., December 13th. There'll also be a brief interview with Jesse, and you can tune in to hear your choir on TV. The Blue Christmas celebration is Wednesday also from 6 to 8 p.m. The Women's Society is presenting Christmas Music and Fun, starring Sean Doyle. Please make your reservations today for the program on December 14th. Pub Theology is upcoming on Tuesday, December 19th. The Winter Solstice service is Friday, December 22nd from 7 to 8. This is one of my favorites. There's a no-rehearse Christmas pageant on Sunday, December 24th at 10:30. The Christmas Eve celebration is Sunday, December 24th at 9 p.m. this year, and we'll have cookies afterward. And so if you'd like to bring your favorite treats and cookies to share, that would be terrific. And now, is one of my favorite parts of the service. If you'd like to take a moment to greet your neighbor, say hello to someone that you may or may not know, and let's unveil the bonds that bind us to all. Says there's a lot of puffing with the mic.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure it's the angle. I'm going to need to get a chair for my story.
Okay. about ready.
Good morning. Morning. That was fun. It's good to see all of you this morning. It's good to be together again. We are celebrating the miracle of Hanukkah this Sunday. The words that I chose for our opening reading, I'm Reverend Cathy Harrington, in case you're new and you don't know. I'm the interim minister here, and really enjoying being in this beautiful city and this beautiful church. Yeah, thanks. Reverend Richard Gilbert, who served in Rochester for many, many years, he wrote these words: "Come into the circle of caring, come into the community of gentleness, justice, and love. Come and you shall be refreshed. Let the healing power of this people pour into you. Let loving kindness and joy pass through you, and let hope infuse you. And peace be the law of your heart. In this human circle, caring is a calling, and all of us are called. So come into this circle of caring."
We have a two-part chalice lighting this morning. I'll do the first part, and then we can all do the second. We light this chalice as a symbol of our free faith. We light this chalice to remember the miracle of the oil that burned for 8 days. We light this chalice to mark the nights of midwinter. We light this chalice as we wait for the sun to return. Please rise as you are able and say in unison, "We gather in loving community, creating a shared vision of compassion and dignity for all to radically transform the world in which we live." And please remain risen as we sing hymn 221, Light One Candle.
Light
it's time for the story for all ages, so I invite the children and the young at heart to come forward to hear our story this morning. I just want to warn you, I have a scary story this morning about goblins. So this is Herschel and the Hanukkah Goblins by Eric Kimmel. It was the first night of Hanukkah, and Herschel of Ostropol was walking down the road. He was tired and hungry. Nonetheless, his step was light. Soon he would reach the next village where bright candles and merry songs and platters piled high with tasty potato latkes awaited him. But when he arrived, the village was silent. Not a single Hanukkah candle could be seen. "Isn't tonight the first night of Hanukkah?" Herschel asked the villagers. "We don't have Hanukkah, Herschel." "No Hanukkah? How can that be?" "It's because of the goblins. They haunt the old synagogue at the top of the hill, and they hate Hanukkah. Whenever we try to light a menorah, the goblins blow out the candles. They break our dreidels. They throw our potato latkes on the floor. Those wicked goblins make our lives miserable all year. But on Hanukkah, it is really, really bad." Herschel knew that he must help the village people. "I'm not afraid of goblins," he said. "Tell me how to get rid of them." "It's not as easy as you think," the rabbi warned. "You must spend 8 nights in the old synagogue. The Hanukkah candles must be lit each night, and on the 8th night, the king of the goblins must light them himself." Wow, that's tough. "This is the only way to break their power." "I'm not afraid, Rabbi," Herschel said. "If I can't outwit a few goblins, then my name isn't Herschel of Ostropol." The villagers wished him good luck, and they had no potato latkes to give him, so they packed several hard-boiled eggs for him to eat, along with a jar of pickles. The rabbi gave Herschel a brass menorah, a package of candles, and a box of matches. And then the villagers said goodbye, but nobody ever expected to see Herschel again. It was long past sundown by the time Herschel climbed to the top of the hill where the old synagogue stood. The crumbling building was gloomy and dark, and rusty hinges squealed as Herschel opened the door. He shuddered. Well, he could believe the goblins lived here. He put 2 candles in the menorah and set it on the windowsill and struck a match and lit the shamus candle. He said the blessings and was about to light the other candle when he heard a voice. "Hey, what are you doing?" Herschel turned around, and there was a goblin no bigger than a horsefly, with a long ponytail and 2 bat wings hovering in the air. "I'm lighting the Hanukkah candles," Herschel said. "Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah." "Oh, no, it's not. We don't allow Hanukkah around here." "Is that so? Who's going to stop me, a little pipsqueak like you?" said Herschel. "I may be little, but I'm strong," said the goblin. "Really? Can you crush rocks in your hands?" The goblin laughed. "Crush rocks? You're joking. Nobody's that strong." "I am. Watch." So Herschel took a hard-boiled egg from his pocket and squeezed it till the yolk and the white ran through his fingers. "That's how hard I'm going to squeeze you if you try to stop me from lighting these candles." The little goblin's eyes widened. Since in the dim light, the egg looked exactly like a rock. The goblin shook with fear. "You leave me alone," he squeaked. "All right. One night, I'll leave you alone if you let me light my candles in peace." "One night won't make a difference," said the goblin, "but you better not be here tomorrow. Big, scary goblins are coming, much bigger than me. And if they catch you lighting Hanukkah candles, you'll be sorry." "We'll see about that," said Herschel to himself, and he lit the first candle. The second night, another goblin appeared, big, fat, and waddled like a goose. Herschel was finishing his dinner of pickles and hard-boiled eggs. "Have some pickles," he said to the goblin. "Pickles? Here, catch." He tossed him a sour pickle, and the goblin caught it in his mouth and swallowed it. Pickles are good."
Do you like them? I have plenty in this jar. Take all you want. So the greedy goblin grabbed as many pickles in his claws as he could hold, but when he tried to pull his fist out of the jar, he couldn't. I'm stuck. You put on a spell on this jar to hold me fast. That's right, Herschel said, laughing, and it's a powerful spell. You came here tonight to stop me from lighting Hanukkah candles, so now I'm going to light them while you stand with your hand in that jar and watch. How do you like that? No, I hate Hanukkah, screamed the goblin. Too bad, you'll have to get used to it. Herschel said the blessings, lit the candles slowly, and then he sang all his favorite Hanukkah songs, and the goblin wailed and carried on so much that Herschel finally decided to let him go. Shall I tell you how to break the spell? Yes, I can't stand this anymore. Let go of the pickles. Your greed is the only spell holding you prisoner. The goblin let go of the pickles, and his hand slipped out of the jar easily. How that goblin raged. He had stood with his hand in a pickle jar while Herschel lit Hanukkah candles under his nose. The furious goblin stamped his foot so hard that he shattered into 1,000,000 pieces, and the wind blew him away. And then the third night came. Herschel felt something watching him as he set the candles in the menorah. Instead of lighting them, he began playing with his dreidel. An hour passed. Herschel looked up, and sitting across the table was another goblin with a fiery red face and 2 enormous horns. It's getting late, the goblin said. When are you going to light the candles? Later. There's plenty of time. Herschel spun his dreidel. This is more fun. What is that you're playing with? It looks like a top. It's a dreidel. Don't you know about dreidels? Oh, too bad. Dreidels are fun. You can also make a lot of money if you know how to play. Really? The goblin was interested now, because all goblins like money. And so this one was no exception. So Herschel said, it's very simple, but you must have gold. That's the first rule. I have plenty. Is this enough? The goblin poured a pile of gold coins onto the table. Ooh, look at his awful nose. That's fine, Herschel said. Listen now, this letter is Shin. It comes up when, and you give me a handful of gold, and this letter is Hai. If it comes up, you give me half your gold, and this is Gimel, and if the dreidel falls on this letter, you give me all your gold, understand? Wait, there's one letter left. What about this one? That's Nun. If the dreidel falls on Nun, I don't give you anything. Ready? Let's play. You go first. Very smart goblin, yes? So the goblin spun the dreidel, and the little top whirled round and round, and when it fell, the letter was Shin. Herschel said, taking a big handful of the goblin's gold, try again, maybe you'll have better luck. The goblin spun the dreidel once more, and this time it fell on Hai. This isn't your night, Herschel said, helping himself to more of the half of the goblin's gold. One more time. Your luck is about to improve, and once again the goblin spun, and this time the dreidel landed on Gimel. Oh, too bad, said Herschel. He took the rest of the goblin's gold. Would you like me to spin? Yes, he was very unhappy about losing his money. And Herschel spun the dreidel, and this time the letter Nun was on top. Oh my, I don't give you anything. I get to keep all the gold. Say, that was fun. Go get some more gold, and we'll play again. What about the Hanukkah candles? We'll light them later. There's plenty of time. Not for me. I don't like this game. I don't like Hanukkah, and I don't like you. Don't go, Herschel pleaded. I have lots of games. Stay a while. We'll have fun. Goodbye. The goblin spread his wings and flew off into the night, and Herschel lit the candles all by himself. On the following nights, other goblins came. One had 6 heads, and one had 3 eyes, and they were terrible and fierce. They growled and they roared and they changed themselves into horrible shapes, trying to stop Herschel from lighting the Hanukkah candles. But Herschel fooled them all. And then finally on the 7th night, as each tiny candles flickered in the windowsill, 8 of them, Herschel sat back to enjoy their light. Where are the goblins? He thought. Had they finally given up? And then he heard a horrible sound, this voice that sounded like the cracking of bones. Happy Hanukkah, Herschel of Ostropol. Who is it? Don't you know who I am, Herschel? Who were you expecting? I am the king of the goblins. The voice rose to a hurricane roar, and it ripped the shingles from the synagogue roof and shattered the windows. The Hanukkah candles reeled in a savage blast, but they did not go. You're too early. You're not supposed to come until tomorrow. The great wind died down, and he said, don't worry, Herschel, I'm far away, but I have the power to see you and speak to you. Enjoy this Hanukkah evening, my friend. It will be your last. Tomorrow night I will come for you. You fooled my slaves, the other goblins. Let's see if you can fool me. Oh, poor Herschel, what was he to do? The king of his goblins was on his way, and he had no power on earth to stop him, unless Herschel had an idea. It was a big chance. He had to take it, and it was the only way to save himself and Hanukkah. So the last night of Hanukkah, Herschel sat the candles in the menorah. Instead of placing it on the windowsill, he put the menorah and the box of patches on a small table near the door, and then he waited. Night fell. It grew dark as pitch inside the gloomy old synagogue, and the whole world outside lay silent and cold. And suddenly a great gust ripped the synagogue doors from its hinges, and the whole building shook. A fearsome voice spoke, Herschel of Ostrobal. Did I hear something? It is the king of the goblins, Herschel laughed. Don't be silly. You're one of the other boys from the village. You're just trying to scare me. I'm not a boy. I'm the king of the goblins. I'll believe it when you show me. Show yourself to me. Behold, I stand before you. You do not believe me now? Herschel tried not to look, and even in the darkness, he could see the monstrous shape filling the doorway, a figure too horrible to describe, and he pretended not to care. It's so dark I can't see anything. A candlestick and matches are by the doorway. Why don't you light a few candles? And then I'll see what you really are. Indeed you shall. And so a match flared and the shamas candle caught the flame. Herschel's blood turned to water at the awful sight of him. He could not lose courage. Master of the world, he prayed, thou who created the heavens and the earth and the spirits of the air, stand by me now. And then he addressed the goblin. Oh, it's still too dark. What are you afraid of? There are plenty of candles. Why not light them all? And the hideous hand took the shamas candle and lit the others one by one. Herschel felt himself growing faint, but he forced to look, and his eyes got wider and wider as each candle caught the flame. 6, 7, 8. The king of the goblins stood before him and said, "Ah, Herschel, now do you know who I am?" "I know you're not Queen Esther." "Very funny. Enjoy the joke. It will be your last. And that's what you think. Begone, or I'll take a stick to you. How dare you speak to the goblins, that king of the goblins, that way?" And he said, "I'll speak to you any way I please. You have no power. The spell is broken, you see. The menorah is lit. You thought those were ordinary candles, but they weren't. They were the Hanukkah candles. And you lit them yourself, and that was how you break the spell, remember? The king of the goblins roared with fury, and the earth trembled, and a mighty wind rose, and the synagogue, and it ripped off the synagogue roof and blew down the walls. It splintered the great timbers and scattered them like matchsticks. But around the menorah, the whirlwind howled, but the candles never flickered. They burned with clear, steady flames. The king of the goblins had no power over them, and the spirit of Hanukkah triumphed. A great wind vanished as suddenly as it had risen, and he rubbed his eyes, saw the synagogue around him, but the menorah standing lit tall where Herschel had placed it. Herschel waited till the last candle burned out, and he started down the road that led to the village. "I better hurry. I don't want to miss Hanukkah." There was no reason to worry. In every window in the village stood a menorah with 9 gleaming candles to light the way. The whole village was waiting for Herschel. And that's the end. Yeah, I do too. Did you like the story? Did it scare you? No? Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to try harder, aren't I? Let me look for some scarier stories for all of you. Any comments, questions quickly before you go? A very happy ending. All right, y'all. Next Sunday, we'll have another story. I don't know what it'll be, so you need to come and find out. And enjoy your classes. We're going to sing you out.
Every week we take a good portion of our Sunday offering and give it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month we are supporting the good work of Family Promise, a unique homeless shelter for families, including men and teen boys who are searching for permanent housing. Family Promise provides not just shelter, but connections to supportive services, assistance with apartment deposits, and the chance to rebuild confidence. In the past year, Family Promise has helped 45 families. This year, wrapped gifts returned today to the tree here in the sanctuary will be delivered to Family Promise families on the 16th. If you'd like to help with this task, contact Maria Testa. To support this Share the Plate ministry, you can drop a check or cash in the offering plate. You'll find more details on giving in your printed order of service under Offering. Let us give generously to support the good work of this church, which is so important to us and to our community. The offering will now gratefully be received.
Da
That's my first experience of the choir being in the choir loft. How wonderful is that? That's amazing. So I lit our second Advent candle. It represents peace. In this time of expectancy and celebration, we have to hold on to the ideal of peace, even when wars rage around the world. We recognize that peace arrives gently and to an open heart, and we light that candle of peace to remind us that it is with the softness of a dove's wing that peace descends upon us. So I did not light Hanukkah candles today because it's not the appropriate time to light them. They are lit in the evening at sundown. So out of respect for that tradition, we won't light the Hanukkah candles today. So in the center of our service and in the center of our lives, let us pause to honor the silences of the world. And let's open our hearts to the place of quiet, to the silent prayer for the healing of pain and the soft, gentle coming of love. I'd like to share a prayer from one of my colleagues, Kristen Grassel-Schmidt. Spirit of love, thank you for this season of ancient stories, miraculous lights, and reassurance that all seasons come and go, and the birth of hope, which is when it's hard to find. And Spirit of compassion, we ask for your comfort and blessing on those for whom this is not a season of joy and celebration. We pray for all who are hungry, whether for food or love, for beauty or mercy, kindness or just a warm, safe place to sleep. We hold tenderly in our hearts all who are sick, mourning friends and family who have died, estranged from loved ones, and all who have lost jobs or homes or important relationships. And our hearts cry out for all living in fear, living in the midst of war and violence, for people held as hostages, for families who have been separated on all sorts of borders. When we find ourselves worried if things will be okay, if we will be okay, may all of the things that have helped us hold on to hope inspire us. May we lift up our voices not to be afraid, but to be guided by faith to do even hard things with great love. When we are uncertain, remind us of the kind, brave, and faithful people who have cared for us, whether halfway around the world, sitting now beside us, or abide with us now only in our heart and our spirit. Yet who nevertheless make real for us the love beyond belief that will never let us go. Blessed be and amen. We especially hold in our hearts today, in celebration, Chris Serchula and Megan Callahan have a new baby girl. She was born on Friday, December 8th at 4:26 a.m. Her name is Mairead Rue Shannon. It's a Celtic name. Congratulations, Chris and Megan. Roger Schroeder, husband of Michelle Costa, passed peacefully at home on December 9th. Michelle was a member of our choir, a worship associate, and was known for her creative puppet shows and art installations around the church. We hold Michelle in our hearts this morning. Former RE teacher Beth Ruthenberg was married Saturday, 12/9, to her fiancé, Sita, in Minnesota. And Cy Hall is in ECMC, but is feeling better, would welcome visitors. I think that's it. Is that it? Okay. So now let us fill this sacred space with the names of loved ones that we hold in our hearts this morning, some suffering in sorrow and some celebrating in joy. And the spirit of life is within us, and the community of love surrounds us. So be it, blessed be, and let the church say, Amen. Amen.
For our reading this morning, we have You Are the Holiday Miracle by Gwen Matthews. As December opens up before us, we welcome in the gift of reflection. We turn toward our holiday celebrations and search for common threads of meaning. We begin with Yule, the winter solstice, and we're invited to celebrate duality, cycles, and seasons, and to witness the Holly King being overcome by the Oak King. Yule reminds us that we are all partaking in the miracle of renewal. Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, commemorates a time of miracles when the faith of the Jewish people sustained them to reclaim their holy temple and keep the light of the menorah burning for 8 days. Christmas, the celebration of Jesus' humble birth in a manger, offers us to revisit the miracle of birth and the desire to find saviors to heal the scars of humanity. Here in our church, you are just as much a holiday miracle as the turning of the earth, as persistence and dedication to a faith, as the creation of each new life. We see the love you give in others, the space you create to hold one another's joys and sorrows, and the generosity and spirit you entrust in this community. You are the holiday miracle. This community is one of miracle makers.
So we honor the Hanukkah season this morning, conscious of the rise in anti-Semitism around the world, conscious of the grief, the fear, and the pain felt by our Jewish siblings and neighbors. A friend and a colleague of mine whose children are being raised Jewish told me that it is not anti-Semitic to criticize Israel, the government. We separate the Jewish people from the Israeli government. Along with other religious leaders, our UUA president, Sophia Betancourt, signed a letter to President Biden urging a ceasefire. The wisdom I share this morning is not my own. It is from the wisdom of spiritual leaders of the Jewish tradition. But I will say that we Unitarian Universalists are grateful for religious pluralism in our world. It expands our understanding of God and the fullness of life. And we grieve the loss of innocent lives on both sides and appreciate the gifts of the world's great wisdom traditions, including those of Islam and Judaism. This week we benefit from learning about the richness of the Jewish tradition and the message of Hanukkah that began on Thursday, December 7th at sundown and continues through December 15th. The message of Hanukkah is that God's light burns in the darkness without oil, that there is a place within everyone that carries that light. In the words of Rachel Naomi Remen, God has not only given us the chance to carry the light, but has made it possible for us to kindle and strengthen the light in one another. This is the way that God's light will shine forever in the world. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs once wrote an article called How the Jews Invented Hope. He creates a pretty good argument about how in the moments of history of Judaism, for example, the encounter between Moses and God in the burning bush, Moses asked God what name he should use when people ask him who he is, and God replies in a phrase that occurs nowhere in the Tanakh, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Non-Jewish translations read this to mean I am what I am. Some render it, I am that is who I am, or I am the one who is. But Rabbi Sachs says these are deeply significant mistranslations. The phrase literally means, I will be what I will be. More fundamentally, God's name belongs to the future tense. His call is to that which is not yet. And if we fail to understand this, we miss the very thing that makes Judaism unique. I thought that was interesting. Moses is about to take the Israelites from slavery to freedom, Sachs writes, and God tells him that his name is I will be what I will be. Judaism, the religion of faith, is a faith in the future tense. Hope is what Hanukkah is all about. So in researching this sermon, I came across an amazing organization called Svara, whose mission is to empower queer and trans people to expand the Torah and tradition through the spiritual practice of Talmud study. They offer year-round learning, served up in the old-fashioned way, hardcore, queer, and radically inclusive. Posted on their website was this wisdom that I want to share from Magid Jos Singer, who is a professional Jewish educator, writer, and speaker. He is an out trans man, a parent of 3, has a devoted spouse. He's a craft cocktail mixologist, a neophyte straight razor shaving nerd, and a skillful home chef. And he writes this about explaining Hanukkah to a group of children. I will say that I made a donation to Safar in UUCB's name to support their work, and as a thank you for sharing Joe's words with you this morning. It's called The Real Miracle of Hanukkah. He writes, basically in my worldview, there are 2 competing approaches to the origins of this pesky holiday. On the one hand, there's the pseudo-historical scriptural version found in Maccabees 1 and 2, which is horrific on pretty much every level. And on the other hand, there is a creative repurposing given to the story by the Talmudic rabbis. Telling the scriptural version is not found in the Jewish scriptural canon, and biblical scholars offer many an interesting answer for this omission. Some suggest it got cut because it was a younger text and it missed the deadline. Others say, he's funny, others say it might not have been originally written in Hebrew, and maybe it was because of the friction between the Sadducees and the Pharisees. So whatever the reason, the fact remains it got left on the cutting room floor. My Sfara tells me that it got jettisoned because it aggrandizes the barbaric behavior of the Maccabees, a group of brutal and ruthless religious zealots who went on to sire a decadent and power-drunk dynasty, the Hasmoneans, and who traumatized the region and the Jewish people for over a century. What is Hanukkah? The sages taught on the 25th of Kislev, on the days of Hanukkah are 8. One may not eulogize on them, and one may not fast on them. And when the Greeks entered the sanctuary, they defied all the oils. And when the Hasmonean monarchy emerged victorious over them, they searched and found only 1 cruse of oil that was placed within the seal of the high priest. There was enough to burn for only 1 day, and a miracle occurred when they lit it for 8 days. And the next year, the sages instituted those days and made them holidays with praise and thanksgiving. Wait, said one dejected kid, so they just made it up? Yes, I excitedly answered, isn't that amazing? Because the rabbis are constantly making things up. In this case, their wisdom is particularly powerful for me. Here they find a way to acknowledge the totality of what it means to live through all kinds of oppression, internal and external. They recognize the brutality and the improbable military victory encompassed by the problematic chronicle, and deftly shift the focus away from the Maccabees altogether in 2 sentences. They don't sugarcoat it, they just redirect the focus. Herein lies the wisdom. He writes, like moving one's eyes to the subject, from the subject to the background of a painting where all the context lies. Or instead of getting tangled in a content of a dispute, we look for a piece of information we lack so that we can understand our opponent's point of view. Here the rabbis, who were often themselves subject to extreme oppression and persecution, pulled off a magnificent feat of spiritual resistance through some expert yarn spinning. It is concise, genius, virtuosic, even an example of a power of a narrative sleight of hand, not an outlandish fabrication, subtle in fact. I mean, it could be even true. They elaborated just enough to turn an extremely murky, dank, and ugly tale into a sacred reason to bring warmth, light, and creativity into our northern hemisphere. Tweaking the facts, altering our stories, and pulling on the heartstrings of the public through our epics and tales is and always will be a dangerous business when humans are concerned. On the other hand, we must be scrupulous with our words, and on the other hand, when a story perpetuates hatred, fear, and violence, maybe a little editing is in order. The rabbis in this instance jammed the wheels of destructive power by turning their attention to a simple, easily overlooked act, thereby awarding the victory to what is inexplicable, magical, and inspiring. And this, to me, will always be the miracle of Hanukkah. I loved his words. I also was reminded of the Christmas menorah story, which is a true story I found on teachingtolerance.org many years ago. I think it was 1993. The city of Billings, Montana was being plagued with hate crimes, racist groups. The exact number was not, couldn't be ascertained, but they did everything they could to try and stop it. First, they ignored it, then they held teach-ins on educating people about the consequences of not taking a stand. And eventually, it all came to a head when a piece of concrete was thrown in the bedroom window of a young Jewish boy who had a menorah in his window. There were some really wise people who got together and decided that the way to handle this was solidarity. So the Billings newspaper printed a big menorah in their newspaper, and the people started putting menorahs up all over town. In the store windows, in the windows of homes, there were menorahs. It was one of the most magical gifts of solidarity that has ever happened. The hate speech and acts of intimidation ceased, and many communities across the world have been inspired by Billings. Winston Churchill once said that courage is a virtue that makes all other virtues possible. Billings will hopefully inspire us to not only reflect on the importance of courage, but of the true meaning of the holidays, celebrating religious freedom and loving our neighbors as ourselves. Recently, the New York Times shared something that's happening now. It's called Project Menorah. It's a grassroots movement encouraging non-Jews to place menorah among other Jewish decorations in their windows with this December, along with their Christmas decorations. And you can go on their website, Project Menorah, and you can print out a menorah. There are several that you can choose from. I have a few copies. If you don't have access to a computer or printer, I'm happy to share, and I'll print more if we need them. It is a really simple way for us to show support to our Jewish neighbors. Less than 2% of Americans are Jewish, and so this small act can help empower the Jewish community against the anti-Semitic hate. We are a part of the holiday miracle, and we have an opportunity to shine the light of love. May it be so. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit and sing hymn number 280, Alleluia. It's in Hebrew, so if you don't feel comfortable singing the Hebrews, sing la la la, la 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 along with it. And that'll be just fine.
Please remain standing as we extinguish the flame of this chalice. May we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
This is called The Blessing of Hope by Jan Richardson. So may we know the hope that is not just for someday, but for this day, here, now, in this moment, that opens to us. Hope not made of wishes, but of substance. Hope made of sinew, muscle, and bone. Hope that has breath and a beating heart. Hope that will not keep quiet and be polite. Hope that knows how to holler when it's called for. Hope that knows how to sing when seems little cause. And hope that raises us from the dead, not someday, but this day and every day, again and again and again. Blessed be. Please join us for soup in the fellowship hall, and then we also have a newcomer class in the Alliance Room at noon, and I have some menorahs for anyone who would like one. Thank you for being here. Go in peace.